G'day everyone and welcome back to Derriere Farms with me, Farmer Jay. In today's video, today's video is one that I have held out making for a while for a variety of reasons, and we'll go into those later. But in today's video, I want to talk about specifically content that is available for Farming Simulator 22. Content that is being provided by Giants, or will be provided by Giants, either through free content updates, free DLCs, or the Year 1 Seasons Pass. And speaking of the Year 1 Seasons Pass, I want to discuss whether or not it was worth it. Especially in light of the fact that most likely we are going to get a Year 2 Seasons Pass, and what that will potentially include. Now, if you watch the Farm Sim show, they recently talked a little bit about that as well. What possibly could be included in the second Year Seasons Pass. And if anybody knows whether or not there is going to be a second year or a Year 2 Seasons Pass, it's DJ. He often has the inside scoop, but he can't talk about it. Now, to be fair, I was just going to do this video as to the validity of the value of the first Year Seasons Pass. But I held off on it until we knew all the details. And then to put things in perspective, like I said, I also thought it would be important to compare and contrast what we have got for free from Giants. Because not everything is being paid, and I think some of us forget that. And as usual, I would love to hear your comments on the whole matter, whether or not the Seasons Pass was worth it, whether or not you'll buy the Year 2 Seasons Pass, if indeed you even bothered to buy the Year 1 Seasons Pass, or you just waited and purchased the individual packs, if you liked them or if you didn't. And any speculation you may have about what's coming in Year 2. Now, having said that, I do make videos both on existing content for the game as well as what's upcoming. I cover patches, news stories, how-tos. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on what is happening in the Farm Sim world. And on that note, let's begin. So the reason I thought it would be important to discuss this topic was in the whole excitement of what has been announced for the Platinum DLC. I almost forgot about the announcement about Pumps and Hoses. Now that's a DLC, agreed it's by a third party, but it is a DLC that is being published and paid for through Giants and is not included in the Year 1 Seasons Pass. Secondly, as also was pointed out on the Farm Sim show, if you go to the Steam database, you will notice that there are two unknown or unannounced DLCs sitting in the database, I would say waiting to be announced. Now, this isn't Pumps and Hoses, it's not the Great Liner. These are all included, the AGI pack, the Kubota pack. Everything we've got or know about so far is listed in the database. So, the big question is, are these two new paid DLCs, or are they going to be two free DLCs? Could one of those be a placeholder for the Year 2 Seasons Pass? Although I think it's a little bit early for Giants to start pushing a year 2 seasons pass because we haven't even finished with the year 1 seasons pass yet. So keep these 2 unannounced, we're gonna let's just say they are DLCs of one form or another. Keep the fact that they are in the Steam database in the back of your mind, because we're going to talk a little bit more about that later. And you'll see how this becomes more relevant to the topic of this video. So let's kick off by talking about the Year 1 Seasons Pass, which I have laid out in all its glory in front of us. I do have the Euro Grape Liner included tentatively in there. Why? Because it was free if you got the Year 1 Seasons Pass, but it's also available as a separate purchase for $1.99, I think it is, if you don't have the Year 1 Seasons Pass. So we have started off with the Ontario Carrero pack. We then got the Kubota pack, and then we got the Vermeer pack. And obviously I cannot include in this video at this time the Platinum DLC, because it's not out yet. Nor is any of the equipment, so I can't lay that out in front of us. Now, when the Seasons Pass was first announced, everything had a very cryptic name to it. It was, in some ways, I believe, misleading. I can't remember what the name for the Ontario Carrero pack was, but Kubota was "This Will Drive You Crazy." Vermeer was "Getting Things Done More Efficiently." The one I would say that is the most honest and outright was the Platinum DLC, which was a plethora of new machines and a new map. And that one you pretty much knew, because Giants has always done some type of Platinum DLC. And I remember asking in the forums when Chacky first posted about the Year 1 Seasons Pass, I said, is there any way we can get more information so we know whether it's worth buying or not? And I got a very cryptic response along the lines of, well, we hope there's enough content to please everyone. Now, I'm going to say I think that's debatable. Ontario Carrero pack, Kubota, Vermeer DLC, Platinum DLC. Pumps and hoses isn't included. I personally, I don't know. I think since it's a paid DLC, it should have been included, because Seasons Pass to me would indicate that you're going to get everything that is paid for free. But that's based on other games I play. I'm going to take Civilization 6 for an example. When they did their Seasons Pass, you got everything for free, or you could purchase it separately. There were no, well, this is your Seasons Pass, but this one we're not going to include in it unless you buy it separately. Like I said, everything was free. So that's my experience with other games on Seasons Passes, and that's why I was a little bit disappointed that Pumps and Hoses wasn't included. So that was the first strike, looking back as to whether or not Year 1 Seasons Pass was worth it. Now let's look at the content we're actually going to get. We got and are going to get. Ontario Carrero pack. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. The reason I got the Year 1 Seasons Pass instead of waiting was because I'm not a Giants partner, but I wanted to have the content, and I wanted to be able to make review videos on it, being a YouTuber. So I went ahead and took the plunge and got the Seasons Pass. So, Ontario Carrero pack. Had I not wanted the Seasons Pass for YouTube purposes, no. The Ontario Carrero pack would have been the first strike against it. It is basically, for those of you that haven't seen it or played it, it is a set of micro tractors essentially. I don't think there's anything above 110, or is it 100? Let's have a look and see. Ontario Carrero, where are you? This was the biggest tractor. Okay, yeah. So there was nothing above 100 horsepower included. All grapevine / orchard tractors, very specialized. No, doesn't appeal. Wouldn't have appealed. I have it, I demoed it, I tested it, and I haven't used it since. So right off the bat, there goes the $10 in savings you would have gotten from picking and choosing, assuming you got all the rest of the DLCs, picking and choosing individually. The $10 in savings, wiped out by the Ontario Carrero pack. Alright, so that brings us to the second part, which was the Kubota pack. I actually like this pack for the most part. Like I said, came with a pretty good selection of equipment, some ATVs, some skid steers. I like the skid steers. I like the tractor selection because you actually get some decent tractors. Like the M8 is a good all-round tractor for the type of farm I usually play, as is the M7. The small tractors, yeah, they're, again, they have their place, I guess, depending on your farm and whether or not you're a true Kubota fan. But I either tend to go with Case or John Deere, and the small Case tractors we have in the game and the John Deere 6120 both do the same thing. They're small enough to fit into the vineyards. I use those. So the Kubota pack would have been probably hit or miss for me. It would have depended on what kind of mood I was in. And let me go one step further, actually, and explain why. Like I said, I like the tractors. The skid steers are fine, but what I would have liked would have been a little bit more equipment to have come with this pack. That was, I think, well, that was the huge thing that was missing from the Ontario Carrero pack. I didn't need 10 mini tractors. This pack, good tractors, skid steers, like I said, but there was no equipment. So, again, yeah, this would have been a 50-50 as to whether or not I got it. That brings us to the Vermeer pack. I like the Vermeer pack for the most part. Probably the only reason, now that I've tested it out, that I would have got this, and I probably would have purchased this on its own, is the self-propelled baler. Yeah, we're looking at it. We already have enough round and square balers, plus, I don't know. I flip back and forth between whether or not I prefer a square baler over a round baler. Tow behind mower, we'll go into that more in a second. I have a feeling $7.99. Yeah, I would have paid $7.99 for the self-propelled baler. just to have it. $7.99 I think would have been a reasonable price, especially as, you know, I don't have a lot of money to toss around, but it was my birthday not too long ago, and I decided to splurge a little bit, and I ended up getting a new locomotive for Train Sim World 2 that cost me 20 bucks. So $7.99 for one piece of equipment, one locomotive for 20 bucks, one self-propelled bailiff $7.99. Yeah, I'd have probably got it. And like I said, unfortunately we can't look at it, but coming very soon in November, and it will hopefully fill up this 40 pieces of equipment that are announced with it, is the Platinum DLC. Now that one really does have me stoked. Why? Because it's not just, it's a little bit of everything, and it's a map, it's equipment, it's got it's got enough of everything to keep me happy. And judging by the responses to my video about the Platinum DLC, it seems to have enough content coming that has been announced so far to keep most of you happy as well. So at the end of the day, as far as the Platinum DLC goes, sorry, not the Platinum DLC, the Year 1 Seasons Pass, I would have to say, if the second year Seasons Pass is anything like the first year, I won't be buying it unless Giants gives us a good idea of what we are getting. No more of this cryptic BS about, well, it'll drive you crazy, stuff like that. I'm not, well, I will for YouTube purposes and making videos probably get it, but if it was me personally, if it was just Jay the farmer, I wouldn't roll the dice and get it. Giants shot themselves in the foot with the Year 1 Seasons Pass, in my humble opinion. My other concern about the Year 2 Seasons Pass, and Clutch made this point, is what can it possibly include? We have all the major brand names now. Kubota was really the last major brand name to be introduced. Yeah, there are a couple of other small tractor companies out there. If you've watched WT Farm Girl, she's got one I've never even heard of. It's about the same size range as the Ontario Corolla pack. If that's what it's going to be, again, no thank you. I think it should be more equipment based and or crop/animal based. But I'll go into that in a minute. But first, let's take a look at what we got for free. And I'm going to go into flight mode to take a quick look. We got the voucher pack. We got free content update number 1. We got we've had free content, 5 free content. Plus, we've had the AGI pack DLC, and we've had precision farming. So we've got the voucher tractors, we got the Ploger manure system, we've got some Krone equipment, we've got a new manure spreader, we got 2 new smaller combine harvesters from Ideal and Massey Ferguson that weren't included base game. We got a super big windrower. We got the Class tractor, we got the Salix stuff. Like I said, we have, not including the whole new gameplay concept of precision farming, we also got several new pieces of equipment with it. A new slurry spreader, a new See and Spray John Deere sprayer. Other free content packs have included the case. Now, this should have been included base game, but I guess the models have changed from previous years. So we got the latest models. We got the animal trailer. I love this Kong slide, I think is the way you pronounce it, mower set. Great. Big baler. Got a straw spreader from Kuhn. We got the Landini. We got a snowblower. That was definitely something missing from base game. Didn't have to be included because we got snow plows, but it was very nice to see. I much prefer using it over the snow plows. Sidebar, snow is something, Giants, if you're watching this video, that you have to improve on. And we got the AB tanks. Plus, we got a plethora of new augers and silos, like I said, with the AGI West Steel pack. So, I think we did pretty well free content-wise. Any of this free content, depending on how they packaged it, I would have probably paid for. The AGI West Steel pack, priced right, say $7.99, I would have paid for. But it was free, so I'm not complaining. Had you mixed and matched some of this equipment into a variety pack, as you want to call it, I would have probably also paid for in terms of DLC as part of the Year 1 Season Pass. I have much more use for these spreaders, slurry spreaders, the combines, the Valtra tractors. To me, the Valtra tractor pack, I'm going to use more than I will the Ontario Carrero pack. I had to think there for a minute, but if it had been me, I would have probably broken this down a little bit more into, I don't want to say a theme, yeah, let's say a theme pack. Some themed DLCs. Either the hay making equipment all in one pack. I would have maybe made another DLC called It's Harvest Time and have included the AGI pack along with the 2 new combines. I didn't include the headers because there's not, I didn't want to take up too much space. But the 2 new headers for that. Like I said, the haymaking pack, you've got the windrower, you've got the mowers, you've got the baler. A slurry pack, throw in a manure spreader, and Bob would have been your uncle. You would have had, again, another pack for $7.99. 1, 2, 3 manure spreaders plus. Well, you get the point. Maybe even the sprayer. Anyway, I got to stop trying to think about how I would have marketed it. But those are just ideas I'm throwing out there for Giants. My point being, packs along those lines that had a certain theme to them would have been far more appealing than the spin around and we'll have a look. The Ontario Carrero pack. The Kubota pack, like I said, I like it. I just wish it came with equipment. And there is no reason it couldn't have come with some equipment. It didn't have to be. Now, I know what everyone's going to say right away. Well, it had to be a Kubota pack. Well, did it? I thought so at first, too. And I thought that's the reason why Giants has broken down the packs into various brand names, and yet the content updates have included a mixture of equipment. But then I went looking through previous year's DLCs, and I had to open it up in Steam to see what was available as DLCs. And yes, there have been themed packs, like in Farming Simulator 19. We had the Caverlan / Vicon pack. We had the... no, that's not a good one to use. We had the Class Platinum expansion pack. We had the Anderson Group Equipment pack. Those were all specifically brand named. But we also had the Borgo DLC. And that included, if anyone remembers, the John Deere 9RX when that was introduced to the game. So while it was called the Borgo pack and had some great seeding equipment and cultivating equipment and so on, it also had a great big powerful tractor to pull it all. And that tractor was from John Deere. The Alpine DLC, well, that was a mixture again. It was a new map. I think it was, and it had a whole bunch of different equipment in it. And there was one more. Give me 1 second. Ah, yes, the John Deere Cotton DLC. Well, the only thing that was John Deere branded in that was the cotton harvester, the CP690. The rest of the stuff was either Lizard or, hey, I can't remember the manufacturer, the bale forks and stuff. But again, it was a variety of brand names. So to say packs have to be themed, like the way they've done here, is not entirely true. And I think this is going to become very important now that they've run out of brand names to introduce into the game. Oh yeah, going back in time, another example I thought of was the Big Bud pack. They introduced the 2 Big Buds, but it also introduced several pieces of brand name equipment from other manufacturers. And I went through, and again, Giants have flip-flop back and forth depending on the DLC as to whether it's specifically a brand feature or not. And I think for Farming Simulator 22 Year 2, they're going to have to get away from trying to find companies that, and again, I don't know the behind the scenes details of these, whether Kubota paid Giants or whether it was the other way around. But the license is now in the game. My point being, if Kubota paid to have their brand put into the game, I can see why it was specifically branded Kubota and nothing else was included. But going back to my point, I think anything Year 2 Seasons Pass, as I said earlier in the video, is going to have to be a mixture of tractors and or equipment to keep players happy. I don't want a specific themed brand that I can't really do much with. And I keep harping on the Ontario Carrero pack. I mean, that's just my opinion. I think that was the worst thing they ever put in the game. But again, going back to what I said, something like a harvest pack where you had the AGI stuff and maybe the 2 combines, the headers, the Goodyear themed grain trailer, put those together and you would have a reasonable pack for a DLC. Of course, you can always expand on it. There's plenty of other equipment from the big names that's already been licensed in the game that they could throw into packs. Obviously, there's John Deere, They have all sorts of cultivation. They have all sorts of seeding equipment. Same with Case. Same with New Holland. Those I think would all be great to have in the game as part of making things happen. There are other brand names out there that I think would work very well too if they were to turn it into a crop-based DLC, which introduces, let's say, carrots and onions as part of a new crop type, a couple of production chains, and the equipment to harvest it. Peanuts, there's another crop that could easily be thrown in there. There's green peas, yellow peas. There's all sorts of crops out there that I think would bring much more appeal to people than the Ontario Carrero Pack did. I guess time will tell. So, to sum up, do I think the Year 1 Seasons Pass was worth it? As I said, as me, the average player, as opposed to a YouTuber, no, and I wouldn't be buying it again unless I knew what I was buying. As a YouTuber, I will be buying it because I want to be able to make videos to educate you guys about. So again, thank you for watching. Sound off in the comments and let me know what you think. Take care, Jay.